Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I blow soon, soon. Knew as a child back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room, room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm in a whip, so I gotta zoom. They tryna talk, they not in the room. I been so real, I'm dead to the tomb. They in the way, they gotta move. I got a gas, they running on fumes. Told them way back, it's something new. It's me and Dan, you gotta choose. I'm taking what's mine, I'm doing fine. Don't see the vision, they looking so blind. I hit my lower, I don't got the time. Crossing my T's and he dotting those eyes. Don't take offense if I do not oblige. I can't relate but like none of these guys. They hit me once and I'm cutting the ties. I was so low but I'm back on the rise, it's real. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I blow soon, soon. Knew as a child back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room, room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm hopping now I gotta go. I'm looking back, they not even close. I had a 4, now I need a ghost. I got a wave like I'm on the coast. Same ones are down and I dare the shows. The way that I'm ballin', they think I'm a pro. I'm getting sick by the money I gross. They saying whoa, I told them all what this is. I told them all I don't miss. Said it's my time, look at this shit on my wrist. And when they shootin' this brace, I'm going in a new gear, gotta shift. I cannot stick to the script, I cannot wait. Watch how I get it and flip. It's just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone. Just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone. Ayy, just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone.
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, I can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late. Seen him down bad, now they tryna hate. Same ones try to hit me for the raise. Got a meal, now they coming with a blaze. Check the numbers fam, I swear I'm getting paid. I'm a don just like the Perrier. It's one time when I'm looking at a face. On the low like I'm pushing up the bass. Come down and I'll meet him at a gate. Got a check and I bought myself a place. They get some money and they blow it on bait. I don't flex but I'm pushing all the weight. Told them all I swear I got it's what it takes. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late.
Here we go. the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Mafia, good Lord, what a weekend, guys. We got that push to the upside to sweep out that liquidity above $120,000. If you guys follow along with this channel, you will know as we flip that $118,000 key level of resistance, we were looking at the high probability of coming up and sweeping that liquidity above $120,000. And we're going to take a look at that, guys, because you could just see how perfectly this played out when looking at those liquidations. We peeked into them. We got those fast liquidations. And now we are getting a little bit of a pullback. Is this something you should be worried about, or are we just coming down to put in a lower high, a higher low before continuing up to higher prices? So I'm going to break down how we got to where we are now and what we're going to be looking at next here for Bitcoin. As we do have some very, very key levels down below, we could potentially push a little lower. We have some money flow coming out on some of the lower time frames. So I'm going to break down everything for you guys. We saw that push to the upside, slapping our final TP on the long position perfectly. You know, I'll cover kind of what we're looking at next here. And is this going to be a big fake out before a massive dump to the downside, guys? Well, we're going to cover it. So shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for being here. We got Crypto Billy, Captain Kirk, Rob the Crypto Snob in the chat, guys. Darren does things. I think I saw him in here as well. Shout out to Montenegro says CME gap at 92K must fill and will. Colossal crash on Friday. So sorry. Well, hey, we'll take a look at that. We do have that CME gap sitting down there. So I don't know. Maybe we will come fill it. I'll cover the bearish case, the bullish case. I'll let you guys know which way I'm leaning and how I am personally handling the trades here. But shout out to everybody in here. Show the mods some love in the chat if you have not already. We got Perry in the chat said salute, Frankie. Shout out to Perry. Welcome in. We got G in the chat saying yo. We got Crypto Owl said Frankie Essentials changed my life. The greatest. Shout out to Crypto Owl. That is our free indicator in collaboration with Lux Algo. Shout out to Crypto Owl. I love that you're loving the Frankie Candles Essentials indicator. But guys, shout out to Luke. What is going on? We got Jesse in the chat, our like police. We got Tootsie in the chat. Tootsie Cruz. Toos Cruz. Shout out to you, man. Says yo, yo, yo. We got Still Working in the chat. We got Steve. Shout out to Steve. We got Costa in the chat. David. Erica, one of our elite female CandleMafia members. What is going on? But guys, we got a ton to look at here. G says smash that like button, guys. Don't forget, every 100 likes we get gets you guys closer to some free giveaways. We gave away $500 in Solana last Friday, so smash that like button. If we hit 1,000 likes on today's live stream, we'll start with a clean 150 in Solana, 550. Maybe we'll add some Frankie Candles hats to the giveaway. But that's enough housekeeping here, guys. I don't want to waste too much time here because we are coming down to some key levels of support. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. So here we are, guys, and I am very, very, very briefly going to bring up kind of, how we got to where we are and what we could be looking at as far as the next move on Bitcoin. And I will be honest with you guys, we did get that push above. You could see that quick move to the upside that you would expect as you smash through liquidations. And I'll even pull up those licks here. I do have that still sitting on the chart. You guys know last week we were looking at this $118,000 level, really sitting between about 118 and 118.3. Once we were able to flip that level to support, what were we anticipating, guys? We were anticipating the highest probability to be that continuation up to come take out some of the liquidity we had sitting above all these highs here. Bitcoin loves to sweep liquidity, guys. And what happens? We get on top of that $118,000 POC and we get that push. And if we come on down to a lower time frame here, guys, you can just see kind of how accurate this is, right? We kind of hang out around those liquidations. As soon as we push into those, guys, you get that quick move to the upside. And again, this is based off the reason we were able to not only call for, flipping this POC to support, which was our major level of resistance, but once we get above there, right, you're getting so close to all that liquidity. We know liquidity, number one, acts as a magnet for price, and number two, we know once we crack into those liquidations, you are very likely to see that fast move to the upside, and we covered that very specifically. And just to show you guys how we're able to predict that, we know the liquidity is sitting here, and we know if we could push into those liquidations and stop losses, it's going to create market buy orders in the books, and we are going to get that fast push to the upside, where we had two kind of situations. And I'm not going to lie, guys, we are potentially seeing the worst situation, not the worst situation, but the worst case kind of play out here. We got those quick liquidations to fill where we were either going to be looking for a big squeeze of the shorts for a continuation up, or a very, very, very simple liquidity sweep, guys, which could be a little bit more bearish. No, this would not make me think the bear market is coming or anything like that. But you guys can see here on a higher time frame, not only do we have the liquidity up there, we could look for the potential short squeeze, which essentially this is a short squeeze, whether it ends in a swing failure or not. It pretty much is a short squeeze. But, is that going to result in a continued squeeze to the upside, or is it going to be that kind of SFP that we look for to potentially put in a lower high and a potential lower low, right? Again, not calling for the bear market necessarily. We do have some other bigger key levels down here that we can look at, and maybe we'll even take a look at that 92K CME gap, which is not guaranteed to fill. But, if we got closer to those levels, we could look at that as being a little bit more of a magnet. But understand here, guys, not only do we have the liquidity, but we also have our biggest key level on the chart right now other than 118K, and that was the 786 Fibonacci retracement pulled from the high to the low here at 786 sits at about 120,800, and this is the line in the sand. This is the level we need to get above in order to see those new all-time highs, guys. And, you could play around with this level maybe for the rest of the week. Who knows? Just because we're down below it right now, if we can maybe bing-bong around here a little bit and then get that weekly candle to close above, we can start looking for new all-time highs. But as of right now, guys, do not forget that this 786, the importance of this level, guys, is that this is that last Fibonacci retracement where you could look for lower highs. And if we're going to get that lower high to come in here, it would be high, low, lower high, and the next anticipation would be to crack structure to the downside here on the low that we made here at about 111.8 for that continuation of the downtrend. And we also had our 12-hour money flow looking pretty suspicious here as well last week, looking at that money flow kind of trendy. It popped up a little bit, came for a lower high. We are popping up a little bit here, but it could be a lower high. We also have that red dot printing. So I do just have to point out here, guys, very nice to see that sweep of liquidity, but we are not completely out of the cards. I will be looking at very big key levels of support here. We just came down to tap that POC at $118,000, so hopefully we can get some support there. Massive resistance on the way up could turn into massive support on the way down. But once we take a look at some of the money flow on Market Cipher B, I'm going to cover why we might be able to see a little bit more of a continuation down. We'll cover the local levels, and then just real quick, I will cover the super bearish case here. If we do get a big drop to the downside here, guys, just understand from a context standpoint, as long as we live below that 786, the lower high could be in effect here until we crack that into support. And if we're going to put that lower high in between the golden pocket and 786, as you would expect, right, you could look for that crack of structure to the downside, which again, we do have a ton of support down here. What we bounced off here was the earliest or the highest level of support that we had, the first level within our major zone, which was sitting, excuse me, Let me see if I can pull up that lower range real quick. Where's it at? Right here, right? We came down to the range high starting at about 112K. That is literally the tippy bottom at this point. But if we did put the lower high and the lower low, guys, we do still have big support down here that we can continue. If we went down for that full 786 retracement, pulled from the swing low to the swing high, right? This could just be a beautiful place to bounce. I don't really want to lose this level. This is still just as important as it was last week. Excuse me. Something in my throat. But just understand, if this is a lower high and a lower low, this does not change my longer-term sentiment just yet, right? We still have all these levels down here that we can look at. We'll cross that bridge if and when we have to come down here. We'll cover it. We're live here every single weekday, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes we go live at 2 p.m. and stay live for 5 hours. So obviously we will cover it as price action develops, but I just want you guys to be aware of that. Context of like where we are rejecting from is very important, right? So, we look for that sweep of liquidity, and we could be getting that SFP of the 786, which could call for a lower low to come in. But again, we have some local levels here we'll look at, and I'll talk about that line in the sand where I would say the lower high, we have a line in the sand here that like once broken below would make it a very high probability that that lower low will come in. But again, overall, could be a higher low on the higher time frames for a continuation up. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin dominance and all that good stuff yesterday. Shout out to anybody who watched the Ethereum update that I dropped on Saturday. Was it Saturday? Looking for Ethereum to get that push into $4,300. Eventually, we did push up into that level. And now we are sitting up here, right, kind of bing-bonging around. Same thing. I'll talk about some pullbacks on Ethereum if we do have to get another dump to the downside. Still plenty of support here. Long-term money flow still looking good. 2-day money flow still thick boy in the green. But Frankie, the 2-day bearish divergence. Yes, we do have a potential 2-day bear div printing here. But again, money flow would indicate not only on the 2-day, but also on the 3-day, also on the 5-day, also on the 6-day, also on the weekly. This money flow is coming up. So just understand, if we get pullbacks, I will still be looking for buy the dip scenarios on the way back down. And we'll cover Ethereum a little bit more in depth in a minute. But let's go down to the lower time frames here. That's the longer term kind of situation here for anybody who is new here, right? My general sentiment here, long term, is just, hey, we got this nice breakout of our range. We could come down for the range high retest, which hopefully that is the low, right? We still have an opportunity for that to be the low until we start breaking these key levels of support that I'm going to bring up. But even if we did have to come back lower, right, we could still potentially pull into about 108 and 107 to put in a higher low and a higher high longer term. Once we start losing those levels, we could potentially look down towards some much lower targets, which maybe... I don't know if I want to bring up the 92K CME gap right now, but we do have a CME gap down at about $92,000. I only say this because somebody brought it up in the chat. So I will just bring this up very, very quickly. I don't want to lose this golden pocket, but at the end of the day, guys, if something super bearish came out here, it's kind of hard. I'm not going to try to call this long-term move right this second, but if we pull up our macro volume profile, there is a CME gap down here at about $92,000, which is in line with our value area low. This would be an absolutely crazy drop to the downside of about 23%. Honestly, not that crazy for Bitcoin, to be honest. But at that point, if we did wind up coming down here, you guys know that golden pocket that I just brought up sits at about 107-ish, 108-ish K. Pull it from the low to the high here, right? This would be the reason I don't want to lose this level is because if we come down here, it's like, hey, golden pocket retest, value area high retest. You really got to start bouncing there because if you get accepted back into this macro range and that 786 at 103.4 does not hold up, the next likely place for price to go is going to be that point of control at $97,000. I brought this up on almost every single live stream recently. And then once you lose that POC, you could be on your way down to that value area low / CME gap at around $92,000 to $90,000. But again, to even pay attention to this right now is kind of pointless in my opinion, right? Because we still need to lose all these key levels of support, even the local levels of support we have in here. But just longer term, right? This would be a super bearish scenario. Not impossible, but again, we'll cross that bridge if and when we get there. But it does kind of not line up, but it's also relevant, right? Because it shows you why that 107 to 108K zone is so important because you want to bounce on this value area high. You do not want to get accepted back into this range. And then again, that 786 at about 103.450 is an honorable mention. You could put the higher low in there. But at that point, right, you're going to bounce right into the value area high. You really got to get cooking out of there really quick, right? So it's kind of a difficult situation. You're going to bounce here right into major resistance. If you get accepted here, you're probably going lower. So I hope we don't have to deal with that. Hopefully, if we do have to come back down for the lower low, hopefully we can bounce on the bigger level here. But that's just kind of my longer-term sentiment and thought process, if the super bearish scenario plays out. But with that being said, right, we don't have to look right down there because we do have some support coming up a lot more locally. So let's go over that. I'm going to jump into chat really quickly here, and then we will jump into these local levels that hopefully we can hold up so we don't have to put in that lower low. Let's see. Shout out to Max B, says 69K is going to be the bottom of the next bear market. Shout out to Max B. Potentially, and I mean, it depends on how high we go. The higher we go, right, the higher that floor will likely become. So yeah, we'll see. You know, when the top actually does come in, we can start looking at how low we can go for the next bear market. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to Onward VR says last Friday CME gap at 117K is still hasn't filled. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about that. That's part of one of our more local levels here coming in that I'm going to go over in just a second. Let's see. That 15-minute candle was crazy. Yeah. Sunday pump was like, what? Shout out to Low-Key Feta. What is going on, bro? Welcome in. But yeah, so I want to cover the lower time frames, guys, because we do have some bearish money flow here on the shorter time frames, as well as some very, very important key levels to look at, right? So I'm going to pull up my current range here. We're going to hide some of this stuff here real quick. And I will just look at this from a volume profile perspective at first. I'll go ahead and hide that 786. But obviously, guys, we took that long on, well, we had the bottom long here in the premium Discord, also had the bullish retest of the golden pocket 786 here, which is personally where I caught my entry at, right? So we did ride that all the way from down here, looking for that final TP to come in at the, whoops, not this one. Where's it at? Right here, right? Looking at that for that final TP, right? Technical final TP. You could always let that winner run. We take profit along the way, move our stop losses to make it a guaranteed winning trade. But we were looking for that to come up into that value area high, and we pushed into that value area high and then got that sweep of liquidity above as we expected. Flip 118K. Let's go sweep that liquidity. And here we are, guys. If you learn anything from these live streams, liquidity is one of the most important things that you could pay attention to. And that is really what helps us identify, like, hey, once you get above that major resistance, that liquidity is going to act as a magnet. Let's go sweep that. And we actually did that perfectly. Would have been really nice to just see a short squeeze to new all-time highs, but it does look like, although we did not get the SFP here on any of the lower time frames, this could eventually close out like a daily SFP, right? Let me go ahead and hide this position, right? It could just look like, well, hey, wick above, close down below, sweep that liquidity, and then send it back down. So obviously that is an opportunity, but we did smash that TP, final TP, which is absolutely beautiful to see. But I do want to cover some of these key local levels of support. So we have this local volume profile that we've been looking at. For what it's worth here, guys, you can potentially, and just to, just because we just tapped this, right? 118K. This is the major resistance that we were looking at. Definitely a very big level to hold. And I was talking to the premium Discord earlier today, talking about how, typically, right, if we lost that key level of resistance, major resistance, flip to support, you sweep the liquidity. Once you come back down here, it's like you really want to hold these levels. But because of some of the context of some of the key levels, excuse me, that we have down below here, I would actually be okay losing this momentarily. And this will make sense in a second. But we have this previous value area low sitting at about 117.2, POC at 118K, right, which is that major level of resistance we looked at on the way up. Did I delete those naked points of controls? Because obviously we did have a ton of resistance there. We had the weekly MPOC, we had daily MPOCs, which I deleted, and we had this monthly MPOC as well, right? So major resistance flipped into support, sweep the liquidity. This is going to be important on the way down. I mean, it's definitely a big level. You also have the anchored VWAP coming in here at about 117.8 as well. But again, because of the key levels that we have down below, I would actually be okay losing this slightly without just turning completely bearish. The line in the sand is going to be a little lower than that level. But this is that previous volume profile. And for what it's worth, guys, we did get the push up. We didn't get the SFP, but we did get some kind of a failed auction here, right? Sometimes, with an SFP, you're looking for a wick above, right? And then you're looking for that big SFP candle, more like what we're seeing on the daily here, right? Big wick on the top, come back down. That could be looked at as an SFP. But on the lower time frames, this kind of looks like it's more of like a failed auction, right? You wick up or you push up, you start to try to trade at the higher levels, you can't hold it, you bearishly retest, and then you come down and you just fill all these inefficiencies back to the downside. And for what it's worth here, guys, we are now back inside the volume profile. We actually had some potentially key levels here we were looking for long positions at in the premium Discord, but as we pushed into them, I was letting them know, hey guys, I'm not really that interested in the long here. I'm not going to take it. And the reason for that is because when we look at our 30-minute money flow, what's our money flow doing here, guys? It's coming to the downside. And this is 30-minute money flow. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it does indicate a continuation of your downtrend, right? So avoided that bad long position. And not only do we have the 30-minute money flow crossing over into the red, we also have our 8-hour red dot printing. That is that market cipher B 116 strategy. When you see those 16-hour, or I'm sorry, 8-hour red dots with the 30-minute money flow crossover into the red. 30 minutes times 16, right, is basically the 8-hour. When you see these lining up like this, it does indicate that that money flow crossover will give you a continuation of the trend to the downside. On top of that, you're also accepted back into this range, which obviously we have this 118K level, which is huge, anchored VWAP just below. But at the end of the day, you could potentially look for a full fill of this range where we have some more key levels of support to watch. Now, what do we have down here other than the value area low? Before I bring those levels up, quick word from our sponsor. I'm just kidding. But we can actually extend this profile all the way to current price action. The reason for this is a lot of people ask me, Frankie, how do you know when to look at the previous profile and then when to extend it all the way to current price action? And basically this comes down to whether your price comes back into your balanced area or not. And here we are inside the area of balance. So you can look at this as a new kind of volume profile just pulled to the current price action. So I'll actually go ahead and pull this same profile. I'm going to mark it off separately. Or I'm just going to pull it to the current price action. And I will go ahead and mark this out by itself, right? So you have your value area high, your POC, your value area low. You've got your value area high at 119,769, right? Basically $118,000 POC. Let me just change the color of this because this drives me insane that these are gold. I don't know why that happens to me every time. But then you have your value area low sitting here at 116.2. So back below the value area low, that'd be looked at as generally short-term bearish, right? You know, this is your deviation above the high. What do we do up here? We basically just swept liquidity. Once you get back into that range, next likely place for price to go is the POC. If we lose this $118,000 key zone of support, right, we're going to be looking down closer towards that value area low. And let me just grab this and put it in a folder so I can separate these because I am going to be looking at both of these ranges separately. So go ahead and hide this, drag this over to our current range so we can turn them on and off. But I'm going to bring this up first because this is kind of what we have the confluence on. Value area low sitting at 117.2. We also have the CME gap down here at about ending at about 116.965, right? And then if we pull up some of our higher time frame levels, let me see, we have a daily down here, value area low, CME gap, and then you also have your weekly MPOC down here in confluence with that daily. No daily MPOCs, no monthly MPOCs. So this is going to be a big zone of support, guys. If we are going to go down here, and again, lose the value area high, POC is next, lose the POC, could be looking to go down to the value area low to potentially fill that CME gap. This is going to be a big level in my opinion. If we lose this level, I am going to be looking for lower prices. And I do think once we start losing this weekly MPOC at about 116.5, it would be more likely, in my opinion, right? Not 100% guaranteed, but a little bit more likely that we are eventually going to make a new low here. And I know that seems super bearish. Oh my God, we're going to zero. We will have local support to look at on the way back up. But I really wouldn't want to lose this CME gap to be honest, right? If we lose that, right, we could continue to look down for that lower low to come in. And it would just be a brutal drop to the downside. We do still have some time until September, guys. If we're going to get those rate cuts, there's some time to chop around here before we actually get that to come in. And if it does come in, very likely it will be bullish. And we just have some time to get chopped around here a little bit. So definitely watch that CME gap again, 116.965. And again, honorable mention, not honorable mention, but you have the backup support here at the weekly MPOC at about 116.5. Once we start breaking down below that, I'm probably looking for some lower prices. We have some lower volume profiles here that we can look at. Where's it at? Where's it at? Right here, right? You have this lower volume profile that we can look at. Break down below here. It's like, I'm probably looking for the lower low, to be honest. But again, long term, doesn't make me super bearish long term, right? Again, we have those big major key levels of support down towards 107 to 108. That would be like worst case scenario. I would want to bounce there. We start losing that, guys. It's very likely going to get much more bearish, but we're very far away from those levels as of right now. So locally, what I would be watching, at least tangible levels right now, $118,000, the major resistance that we looked at, holding as support as of right now. But if we wind up getting below that POC, guys, I'm going to be looking down towards this zone between 117,209 and 116,491. Lose that, continuation down is going to be a bit more likely. So we'll see what happens. 30-minute money flow crossover into the red, 8-hour red dot printing. We also have the 12-hour red dot and money flow coming out, right? You're a little bit overbought here on the 12-hour, red dot incoming, money flow generally trending to the downside, right? So if we get that red dot and we continue to dump, this 12-hour money flow could continue down, which would also point towards potentially, if we come down here and this 12-hour money flow is crossing into the red, lower time frames look like trash, we don't look like we're going to get a bounce here, that 12-hour money flow for sure has the power to continue that trend to the downside towards our bigger macro levels. But again, it's an if this, then that statement, right? We can come down here and things can look good. There's no way to call that until we actually interact with the level and we can actually look for those confirmations. So there you go. Very simple. I'll take this tapped weekly off, or tapped weekly MPOC off, right? Simple. And if I pull the current range, or the, actually I should change the name of this, but you could see here that value area low of the current range, right, pulled to our current price action, is also confluent with that weekly and that daily. So, hey, maybe we just kind of range around up here a little bit, right? It's not until we start breaking down out of there where I would be looking for much lower prices. So, below the high, POC is next. If we lose the POC, we're probably going to be looking down towards the value area low, again, where we have that other confluence here on the CME gap and weekly MPOC and daily. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. It's not until we break down out of this range where I'll be looking for the bigger drop to the downside. So there you go. Let me come into chat real quick. What about Ethan Alt? Shout out to Bitfrog. Let's go. Shout out to you, man. We're going to take a look at Ethereum. We'll take a look at the altcoins. We'll take a look at Bitcoin dominance as well. Let's see. Shout out to Wolf of Crypto, said, Frankie, please hold me. Please. So yeah, we'll keep an eye here on Bitcoin here as price action develops. I will put an alert here on this low in case we crack it. But real quick, let's go ahead and jump on into Ethereum, because I know a lot of people are curious about Ethereum here. So I'll be honest, guys, my long-term sentiment here doesn't really change, right? In my opinion, ETH is in a buy the dip scenario, right? Even if we have to get the bigger pullbacks. So biggest key levels of support I would be looking at on ETH locally would be the local golden pocket, 786, value area high confluence. This sits between 37.53 and 35.29. This would be in the attempt of an aggressive higher low, higher high, right? That could squeeze you to the upside. I'm going to bring up the higher time frame levels as well, but this would be key level of support number one. Once you start breaking back into this value area high, the bigger correction is going to be in the cards, in my opinion. Break below the value area high. Next big level to look at, in my opinion, will be these daily MPOCs, with the weekly MPOC sitting between 31.22 and 29.57. Still, in my opinion, a place where you can bounce. Right? You also have a daily MPOC here at about 2,800. If we pull our Fibonacci retracement from the swing low to the swing high, you can see we do have confluence on that golden pocket here, as well as the structural highs of our previous range. So this is a big level. I mean, you could even extend this down all the way to, in my opinion, excuse me, I don't know what is going on in my throat today, $31.22 to $2,800, right? These are still places where you can bounce. And why would I be looking for higher lows and higher highs? Because we could pull back here, guys. I'm not going to lie, right? Like, today, bearish divergence is definitely printing here. This does not mean that it's no alt season, ETH's going to zero, right? It's definitely a bearish signal. But when we look at our money flow indicates the longer-term trend. So when we get this 3-day red dot, right, or the 2-day bearish divergence to start printing, a pullback would be expected, in my opinion, right? So, but when you're looking at money flow, anticipating, 3-day money flow just crossing into the green, 4-day money flow is, attempting to come up here. I don't know why the 4-day money flow is so different than everything else. But if we ignore the 4-day money flow here, 2-day money flow is thick in the green, 3-day money flow just crossed over, 5-day money flow just crossed over, 6-day money flow just crossed over into the green, weekly money flow crossover also crossing into the green. But you can see weekly VWAP coming down, 2-day bearish divergence. This could cause turbulence. But based off the money flow coming up, which indicates the overall trend, it's just like back here. We have the 2-day money flow crossover. Doesn't mean you can't pull back, right? People will say, I thought we had a money flow crossover. Why are we dumping? The money flow was wrong. No. Right? The money flow crossing into the green is not going to indicate the little ebbs and flows to the downside, only the longer trend to the upside, right? If it's crossing into the green. So when you pull back here, you're thinking, hey, money flow is generally trending up. I'm going to look for higher lows and higher highs. And that's what we anticipated, and that's what we got. It's going to be the same thing here on the higher time frames. Could this 2-day bear div pull us back? Yes. Could the 3-day potential bear div pull us back? Yes. Could the weekly red dot pull us back? Yes. But if money flow generally stays trending to the upside, we can look for higher lows and higher highs. And I would say the most aggressive level to look for a bounce would be the golden pocket, 786, value area high, 37.53 to 35.29, right? And if you watch the Ethereum update, we obviously did hit that $4,300 target, and I'm going to bring up the higher time frames here as well. But that's the first place where I would look for a bounce. Once you get accepted into this value area high, we could look for the continuation down into that bigger zone of support to come retest these highs, to retest the golden pocket. This would still be a place where you could look for a potential bounce to the upside. Even your 786 down here at $2,600 is another place, right? Generally, you can put a higher low in before continuing to the upside. I hope we don't have to deal with this. Just makes it a difficult situation. I'd much rather bounce here, and I would much rather bounce here. I do not want to deal with the 786, but it is there, so you might as well pay attention to it at $2,600. But even if we get the bigger pullbacks, guys, this weekly money flow, right? Like, I could try to show an example of this, right? Like, even here, right? You get your weekly money flow crossover here in the bear market. What happens? You do continue up, right? But then you hit resistance and you get a correction to the downside. But when you see money flow in the green, as it is here, you are going to be looking for higher lows and higher highs. It doesn't mean that you can't get these scary rejections of 28%, right? It is the money flow is trying to predict the overall trend, not the ebbs and flows. So just to give you a little bit of like maybe ease the nerves on a dump, right? You can see like a lot of people would just be super bearish on these dumps. They see red candles, they think going down equals bearish, no alt season, no bear markets here, right? That's not necessarily the case if money flow is pointing in the right direction. And I would say weekly money flow, I mean, this is the most significant money flow crossover that I look at when it comes to market cipher B. This indicates Bitcoin's bottoms being in the bear markets, right? We use this to predict right here. Weekly money flow crossover into the green actually happened back here. Bottom is in, bull market. Right, this happens every time, right? Weekly money flow crossover into the green, bottoms in, bull market. But what about this pullback, right? It's a higher low, low, high, higher low, higher high, right? Still correct on the trend there, right? So just be aware of that. We do have bearish signs on the daily time frames, but based off money flow, we could just look for bigger corrections, higher lows and higher highs. If something changes, I'll be the first person to let you know. But just to give you guys that idea, and even like represented here on the 2-day money flow that we saw most recently, we walked you through this live. 2-day money flow crossover in the green. I just went over this, right? It's like, well, hey, trend is likely to continue up. But look at this. You get that pretty scary 26% dump. But that does not mean it's all over, right? You have to understand the longer-term context of the market. It's how you don't get scared on the dumps and you know when to buy the dip. I would still say, even if we get the bigger pullback, because, again, we do have bearish signs printing, right? Higher low, higher high. Higher low, higher high. Last line of defense, in my opinion. Lose that 786, you have a lot of support underneath backing you up, but at that point, if you lose that 786 decisively, you could be on your way back down to the value area low, but we're so far away from that. So again, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but ETH right on time here, guys. Same thing, and I'm going to walk right into Bitcoin dominance here. We are trying to lose this value area low currently, but this does not mean that the second you lose the value area low that you have to dump. What is important here is the trend, right? All charts, dominance, price charts, whatever you're looking at, ebbs and flows, right? It's not just like dominance went from 54% directly up to, whatever it was, 66%, right? What happens? You get to move up, you get to move down, you get to move up, you get to move down, you get to move up, you get to move down, you get to move up, right? It's all about the trend, right? And you can see money flow is in the green here. So when you're trying to figure out what's going to happen next year, you have to understand, like, you don't want to get caught up in like, oh my God, alt season, never mind. 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 But you want to understand the likely continuation of that trend. And right now with Bitcoin dominance, guys, from a higher time frame perspective, from a money flow analysis perspective, 2-day money flow is trending out here. If this crosses into the red, right, on top of the daily money flow also coming out. Now, it's the same thing we saw in 2021. Right? You can get that turbulence. You slip the low, back up. Slip the low, back up. Slip the low, back up. But what is happening? You're continuing your downtrend for the eventual breakdown for alt season to come in. We still have some time to do something like this, which would cause turbulence on the altcoins. And a lot of the altcoins are bouncing right now without tapping their bigger levels of support. So not only is it possible to get turbulence, but we still have those big key levels on the altcoins to put in higher lows and higher highs on the higher time frames. So you just have to anticipate that you could get turbulence here. And we walked you guys through the Bitcoin dominance like every step of the way, and it's played out so far very perfectly, right? Daily money flow crosses into the red, but even then, you lose the value area low, you get a bing bong back to the upside, which is going to cause turbulence, right? It's the same thing right here. You have the money flow crossover into the red happening right here. Sure, you get the continuation down, right? But you could get those ebbs and flows back to the upside. Right? So just don't be surprised if dominance starts pumping up here and you see corrections on altcoins. And we'll cover the alt charts as well, showing you those key levels of support. Just understand there could be turbulence here. We still have a while till September, right? It could cause that turbulence. But from a trend perspective, ignoring all the noise, all the ebbs and flows, the ebbs and flows, the ebbs and flows, right? Just keeping an eye on overall trend. Money flow is in the red, which we've seen bounces to the upside while that was happening last time. But we look at this 2-day money flow. A 2-day money flow is following very, very soon after, right? Now, with that being said, we do have some bull divs forming here on dominance as well, which could indicate altcoin corrections. But money flow is going to overall show you what the trend is. The bull divs can indicate the ebbs and flows to the upside, right? But the money flow would indicate the overall continuation down for an eventual breakdown out of this range to see alt season happen. I can't guarantee you that this is 100% going to break down, right? But I would say based off the charts, the higher probability, even if you see more pain here, is that as long as this money flow continues out, eventually we will see the breakdown of that dominance. And if you come back over here to 2021, it's the same thing. Daily money flow crossed over into the red right here, You wind up getting a few more pushes to the upside, and then shortly after, you get that turbulence, and then eventually that 2-day money flow crosses over right here. Even after that, you get a little bounce to the upside, but eventually that trend continues for the overall dump down on dominance. Perfect timing. If you have not watched that Ethereum update, go watch it because I cover a lot of this stuff. And like when you see that happening, Bitcoin dominance money flow coming out, Ethereum not only having high time frame money flow like the weekly, the 3-day, the 5-day, all coming into the green, but you also have the potential rate cuts coming in September. If we don't get the rate cuts, this is going to step on alt season. I can almost promise you that, right? I can't give you 100% likelihood, but it'd be very probable if they don't cut rates in September, it's going to be bearish for altcoins. The problem there is it gets a little sticky if we see that happen, because if they don't cut rates in September, we don't see alt season come in at the expected time, people are going to say no alt season. And could they be right? Maybe. Right? But at the end of the day, they're going to have to cut, in my opinion, right? They're going to have to cut rates at some point. So if you don't cut rates in September, it's going to be bearish. So just like expect that if that happens. Now, luckily, we have the Fed Watch tool here still calling for 86.4% chance of rate cuts, right? Now, this will change as we get closer, but it's still pretty healthy, for a predicted rate cut. And, at the end of the day, if we don't see those rate cuts and it gets really bearish, you have to ask yourself, well, what happens if they cut in October? Right? Then everyone's going to be panicking. If they cut rates in October, say, or maybe even in 2026, maybe they hold off till 2026. Eventually, when they cut those rates, these things are going to go crazy. In my opinion, this is what we've seen in the past, right? So hopefully we just get the cuts in September. It does seem to be lining up here across all different charts that it would be perfect timing, but you have to be ready for those unpredictable moments in the market. So yeah, go watch that ETH update if you have not already, because I kind of like show all this stuff side by side and why it is looking like it's lining up. Money flow coming up on Ethereum, on the weekly, the 5-day, the 3-day, all this good stuff, right? Trends to the upside are likely to continue even after pullbacks. And then you have dominance doing the exact opposite, right? High time frame money flow coming out. That's just what it is, right? Their charts aren't going to be right 100% of the time, but they are right way more than they're wrong. And I would just say this is all lining up perfectly. On top of that, guys, Ethereum. We talked about this last week and probably the week before as well. This $4,000 resistance level. Actually, I think I have this already marked off on the chart. So let me actually, maybe I don't. Do I? Maybe I don't. I guess I don't. I guess I deleted it. Oh, no, here it is, right? So let me hide all this other stuff and just show you guys from a very simple perspective what I'm looking at here. Pull off the daily MPOCs. I just want you guys to see a nice clean chart. I don't want anyone getting confused. Not only are we peeking our head above the $4,000 level, guys, we are also popping above the macro 786. This is, I'll do the same thing I did with the premium Discord earlier today in our live stream. When we pull this up on a weekly time frame and we pull it up against Bitcoin, this is very similar to Bitcoin approaching its macro 786. And you can see my cursor on both charts here. Bitcoin gets the move up, taps the 786. This is the level that you're saying is the line in the sand to new all-time highs. I know we put a technical new all-time high in here, but really flipping this level is what you're looking at to put in new real all-time highs. You get above it, you play with it, you play with it, you play with it, you wind up holding it, and you get the new all-time high. During this time, Bitcoin gets the breakout, Ethereum gets slammed back down. Back up to test 4K, macro 786, slam back down. We are now peeking our head above here, and it doesn't mean that you can't play around here. Right? You could potentially play around, but eventually when you get that push up above this level, guys, that will likely send Ethereum into new all-time highs. And not only is it the macro 786, it is also that just major $4,000 resistance level that we've hit our head on so many times. The more times you tap on the door, the more likely it is to open. So it doesn't mean you can't lose this momentarily, but as long as that money flow stays in the green, it might just be something like this where it's like, oh, we're holding support. Wait, now we're breaking down below. And then you just eventually wind up getting the continuation up. It's very similar on Ethereum. And you might say to yourself, well, Frankie, when Bitcoin broke up above here and went into new all-time highs, why did ETH not get the move? Well, it could have a lot to do with the macroeconomic environment we were sitting in. It was not setting up for an environment that would support an alt season. And if we get rate cuts, guys, as we test these key levels of resistance, I would say the macroeconomic environment during that time, if we get the rate cuts, would facilitate an alt season. If we don't get the rate cuts, probably going to get delayed, postponed, maybe canceled, right? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But it's all lining up here, right? And if it all plays out, it is going to be the craziest timing with the 4-year cycle, just looking at the price charts, money flow, all that good stuff, right? It's all lining up perfectly, in my opinion, with the Bitcoin dominance coming down as well. But, that's, in my opinion, why we did not get the breakout on Ethereum and why this cycle has just been so Bitcoin focused is because of the macroeconomic environment. So that's my 2 cents there. Could you reject here and go to zero? Maybe. It's not my base case though, right? For not just because I feel bullish, right? It's just all these things lining up. If all these things were looking super bearish, I would be forced to sit up here and be like, I don't know, guys, this looks really bad. But that's just not the case, right? So that's what I'm looking at. So hopefully give you guys a little bit of context on like why this is important. It doesn't mean that if you can't slip below this, right? We saw that happen here on Bitcoin. You slip it, even close another weekly candles down, some weekly candles down, or one weekly candle down here before getting back up and flipping it. But at that point, right, we're looking at high time frame money flow. We're saying, hey, it looks good for a continuation up. You pair that with the 4-year cycle and all that good stuff, like very unlikely that this dump was the start of the bear market. And we said that at the time, right? It's just like, I don't know, no alt season, no rate cuts. Like, it just doesn't seem like that would be the bear market, right? Based off of many other factors as well. So just keep that in mind, right? And everybody also thought this was the top as well because we had a weekly bearish divergences, right? What were we saying, right? Now, I don't say this to say that we're always right. We're not always right. But this weekly bearish divergence, I mean, is that a bear div? Yes. Did it give us a pullback? Yes. But understanding the long-term context of the market, we look for the breakdown of the range, the higher low, and the higher high. Right? Not just calling the bear market based off of bearish divergence. Everybody was saying last time we had this, it went to zero, which is not a bad observation. But you have to understand the longer term context. I've been through multiple cycles here, right? It's paid out, right? It's like, very unlikely that Bitcoin cracked its all-time high by, it hits 74K and then goes into a bear market. Not impossible, obviously, but, not all bear divs are created equal. So when we look at this, right, and we start to look at, let me pull back up the Bitcoin chart, right? When you start to see this, right, a lot of people were talking about this weekly bearish divergence that we were printing here, right? Is this a bear div? Yes. Could it give you a pullback? Yes, it did, right? But we're just getting eaten back up by a green dot on the weekly. If this green dot unprints, we'll just still have that weekly bear div, and it can continue to pull us back. But long term, this would not just necessarily automatically mean bear market. And even if we saw like a black swan, guys, and something really crazy happened, I don't know. Like, they cut rates. Like, think about back here. Right? Like, I don't know. They cut rates. It's like, even if you get a scary drop to the downside, it's like, it honestly stinks. If they don't cut rates in September, it's going to be really tricky. Because it's like, you're probably going to get the dumps. But at the end of the day, if they're going to cut rates in October, it's like, what's going to probably happen is probably going to be a flash crash, and then rate cuts are going to send that thing back up. So I'll cover this with you guys. We have all that local support we looked at on Bitcoin, but as I'm talking about Ethereum here, like that's my thought process here, right? Like, still bullish on Ethereum. Even the ETH BTC chart still has room to go. I also just think that generally it is a very low probability that Ethereum doesn't put a new all-time high in this cycle. Is it impossible? No. But I just think it's very unlikely, especially if they cut rates. Imagine looking back and being like, wow, that was the cycle ETH didn't make an all-time high. Possible, but that doesn't make it probable, right? And all we're doing when we look at these charts is we try to take the bullish case, the bearish, or the bullish puzzle pieces, the bearish puzzle pieces, weigh them against each other, and figure out which way the chart is pointing, right? And then more often than not, I would say dang near 85% of the time, it is correct, right? And we've avoided really bad bear market calls by understanding the overall context. And I'm going to stick with my sentiment. These little, it really is funny. Like, I think a lot of people get super scared when you get like dumps, but it's like we were down here on the 5th of August. Now we're up here, and it's like all of a sudden, I'm sure a lot of people are very scared. So yeah, even if we have to endure bigger dumps, guys, things long term do still seem pretty good. CPI tomorrow gonna overshoot, and Trump will fire somebody. Shout out to Eugene. And maybe I can't even argue against that. Let's see. Alts are still down from 2021. Yep, time to be bullish. LMAO. Shout out to Bring the Chaos. I mean, yeah, like, I don't know. It's like I can never just like factor out that like you're not gonna ever have it. Like, you're not gonna have an alt season. Like, is it possible? Of course, but I don't know. I just still think like if they cut rates, the chances of alts, this being the top for alts here for this cycle, is very low. And on top of that, just from a chart perspective, even on something like Cardano, because I have it up, 5-day money flow crossing into the green, 3-day money flow looking to cross into the green, 6-day money flow crossed over into the green, weekly money flow just starting to get that peak into the green. But this is not an instant signal for massive move up. I think this is where a lot of people get chopped up. They'll think, oh my God, money flow crossed over into the green, it's going up. This is the trend. This VWAP crossing over and giving us a red dot would very likely give you an ebb or flow to the downside before the overall trend continues up. And just look back to the example I showed you on Ethereum. Money flow comes up on the 2-day. This is bullish. crosses over, you're looking for a continuation up. Then you dump 26%. Frankie, what happened? I thought we were bullish. We are. Money flows coming back into the green, higher lows and higher highs. You have to be able to endure the ebbs and flows in crypto. All right, if you are in crypto, you have to be ready to endure these drops. So that's what we're looking at. Money flow looks pretty decent, but I would say locally we do have some bearish signs for a bigger continuation down. Now you guys have all the key levels that I'll be watching for bounces, higher lows, and higher highs. All right, let's see. Yeah, actually, shout out to, who said it? Where'd it go? Shout out to Spank said, rate cuts are priced in, I think. Shout out to Spank. That could be the case as well, right? Like maybe you get the run up into the rate cuts. They announce the rate cuts. You get a pullback. But again, over time, that liquidity is going to find its way into the risk on assets and eventually give you that alt season that you're looking for, in my opinion, guys. This is what we've seen happen time and time again. Could it be the first time it doesn't play out? Maybe. But that's where I sit, right? That's all I can do up here is read the charts, give you the highest probability situation, what I'm going with. But, I don't know, probably like 85% hit rate. But that's not 100%. So let's see. Shout out to Hayden, said, do we sell to buy back? Shout out to Hayden. I mean, listen, this is that it depends on your personal situation. Am I selling my Bitcoin to buy back in? No. But I'm in from down here, right? So it's like I'm just riding that wave to the upside. I am not in the camp of like, with my spot bags, I enjoy. It's not like I sold up here and then bought the dip and rode it back up. Could you do that? Sure. But for my long, I day trade, right? So like I just do this with my leverage trades. Make the money on the way up, get out of the position, look for a short, make the money on the way down, look for the long, make the money back up. But for my spot bags, I just hold until I think the top is coming in, which again is not just a random guess. It'll all be based off information on the charts. All right, let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Said, sorry, walking the dog and listening to Frankie. Distracted. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Billy, what kind of dog do you have, bro? Shout out to Crypto Billy's dog. Sounds like a really good boy or a really good girl. Let's see. Bullish scented candles only, please. Shout out to Sergeant Squid. Let's go. It's only going up, guys. It's only going up. Let's see. Okay, so we took a look at Ethereum. We took a look at Bitcoin. Let's take a quick look at Solana, or Solonzo, as some people like to call it. What's happening here, guys? Right? We have very clear levels. We got the bounce. I'll just redraw this box so we remember here, right? When we got this push to the upside, we get the pullback. We lose this value area low. We look for the continuation down. Where are we looking for the bounces? Well, based off our high time frame money flow, which looked the same as Ethereum, right? Money flow crossover into the green, continuation up is likely. Where is that first place where you can look for a bounce? Golden pocket, anchored VWAP, and you also have a daily MPOC down here as well. We have the low, we have the high, we have a potential higher low for a potential higher high, right? So I would say the biggest level here on Solana to hold locally is going to be the value area high 786, right? Because if you're going to continue your local trend to the upside to finish off cracking structure to the upside, pushing into your point of control, you would want this to be the bottom, right? Or you would want this to be the bottom of that local retracement. If you lose this 786, you're getting accepted back into your volume profile. You've already bounced off the top of this golden pocket, which is why I had this moved to the daily MPOC. Biggest levels to watch, this anchored VWAP, if you want to get it on your chart, is pulled from April, the April lows. This will likely, if we continue down, we might be able to get this to trend up and become confluent with this Fibonacci retracement level, or zone, I should say. If we can hold that 786, you might be able to get the continuation up, right? Flip the value area low, and then again, look to push it into this POC at 216.90. If we lose the 786, you're hoping if this is the higher low, guys, you want that first tap of the golden pocket to be the higher low. If you come back down to tap this, you have the naked bottom of the golden pocket in confluence with your daily MPOC. So I would still be looking at this as some kind of a zone of support. If this golden pocket had been tapped all the way through the level, full golden pocket tap, daily MPOC tap, I would not pay attention to this level at all. But because you have the daily MPOC untapped, you could keep it on your chart. But if you lose that 786 sitting at 162.44, at that point, you're back in your range. The POC might be the next likely place for price to go. And then this is the big line in the sand for Solana, in my opinion, right? Because again, low, high, if the higher low doesn't come in here, you're hoping that it comes in on the 786. Sitting at $143. You'll lose this 786. You're going to continue down through that profile very likely. So this would be like the last line in the sand for me personally. Hopefully, we could just continue the uptrend here. But I just want to have you guys prepared because, again, when you look at your money flow, you have the 90-minute money flow coming out Daily VWAP coming down, looking for a red dot. That could continue you down. So he's got to be aware of these key levels. So number one, you're hoping for an aggressive bounce from 167.90 to 162.13. If you lose that, I'm mostly going to be looking for the POC, unless we bounce off that daily MPOC at $154. But again, you're already inside your range. I would say this is the better level, in my opinion, right? So that's what I'd be looking at on Solana. But again, long term, right? Like nothing really that scary here. Money flow still coming up. High time frame green dots. I would still say something like this or like this would be more likely. Not just going to zero, no alt season. And once that does become the case, I'll be the first person to let you guys know. Absolutely. So that's what I'd be looking at on Solana. As far as market cipher, it looks very similar to Ethereum. Let's see. Shout out to Sean, says Arrow, brother, much needed and appreciated. Shout out to Sean. We will try to take a look at Arrow, no problemo. Don't forget to smash that like button, guys. Every 100 likes not only helps out the channel, but also if you appreciate the free TA, we'll also give away a bunch of free crypto. $500 in Solana yesterday or last Friday. So yeah, let's do it. Let's do it, baby. Pengu ENA. Wow, everybody wants to see ENA lately. But yeah, let's do a shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. If you want to see your favorite alts, go ahead and drop them in the chat. Rob, let's try to pick ones that we don't usually pick. I'll probably go through the ones that we usually look at. So try to pick some different ones. And we will look at Tau. Nabil, attention. Is Nabil in the chat? I owe Nabil to look at Tau because I keep seeing him request it in the premium live streams, and I just keep missing it. So if he's in here, we'll take a look at Tau as well. Maybe we'll just add it to the list in general. K Diggity in the chat. What is going on, K Dig? Welcome in. Johnny December. What is going on? Shouting out Wix Wife Fine 89. I love it. Shout out to Dan. Says, hey, Frankie, please, was this a dead cat bounce, and how does that look? Shout out to, I assume you mean on Bitcoin. I will say the idea of the dead cat bounce, which is, I'm not saying that because it's like a fake term or anything. I'm just saying like what I would be looking at here. If we do have this, and I'll pull this up on a clean chart, right? If we're looking here and we want a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low, this would be your dead cat bounce for the lower low to continue. But where would we be looking for that to come in? Golden Pocket 786, right? So I would say it's important if you do not want the lower low. You know, maybe we play around with this. Maybe we play around in the lower range. Maybe we go fill that CME gap down at, I don't want to make up levels here. Down at about 116,985. But if we could get back above here at the end of the week and close the weekly candle up here, I would say that is a nice sign for new all-time highs. But at the end of the day, this is where you have to be aware that if you're going to put in a lower high, you have your high, your lower high, and your lower low. That highest probability area for the lower high to come in would be between the Golden Pocket 786. And there was a time, where was it, man? I don't want to spend too much time looking for this, but yeah, like you could see right here, right? Like same thing here. If you're looking for your high, your lower high, and a lower low, this would be the zone to look at that for, right? But what happens? You get the rejection from the 786, you pull back, but eventually you get back up there and you flip it to support. So we could see something like that where you play below that 786 for a little bit. But I will say, like, this is the area that would come in at if you're looking for the dead cat bounce. So we do have to be careful. Like, I would say the most alarming thing on the chart for this to be the lower high before continuing to break structure to the downside here, I would say watch that 12-hour money flow, because this is going to delete a lot of the low time frame noise that you get on money flow because it's a higher time frame. If we see that 12-hour red dot and that money flow keeps cooking to the downside, that, in my opinion, would be probably higher probability, and then we lose those key levels I brought up in the beginning of the stream, that line in the sand. That would be high probability that you're going to come take out that low, right? And again, still big support down here. It just might be a little bit longer of a dump that we'd have to endure. So just keep that in mind. So just to give you an idea of what that dead cat bounce could look like. Can't get back above this by the end of the week, you know, it could be higher probability that is the lower high and the lower low, right? But again, it's not like it's going to go to zero, at least in my opinion, right? Maybe it does, but, you know, we still have that big support that we covered in the beginning of the stream. And shout out, I forgot who asked that, but if you scrub back to the beginning of the stream, I pretty much covered this whole situation with the key support levels down below, so go check that out. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Electra Cholo. Shout out to you, Electra Cholo. Says, Frankie, is the bull run canceled? Shout out to you, man. I mean, just zoom out, right? Like, if when in doubt, zoom out, guys. It's, failed breakout, I guess you could call that. But, just understand, you would probably be feeling the same way back here, right? It's like, oh, my God. Actually, really, that line in the sand would be this 786, right? From the high to the low. Here's your doorway to higher prices. You reject. Oh, my God, is this the bear market? It's like, again, money flow is going to indicate the overall trend. So, but listen, if the bull run is, I wouldn't even say canceled would be kind of crazy, right? This bull run has been cooking for quite some time. But again, alts have not really started their bull run just yet. Let's see. Casper, we have not looked at Casper in a long time. I could try to take a look at Casper. Shout out to Rollins420. Thank you for the super chat, brother. And Rob the Crypto Snob with the alt list. Thank you so much for that, brother. I appreciate you. I will go ahead and pop that at the pinned chat. OP, hey, listen, I think people sleep on OP. Listen, not financial advice, guys. I like OP. Maybe we'll take a look at OP as well. I low-key kind of want to take a look at it. Shout out to Olgar. I said, can you see any weakness in the S&P, NASDAQ? Can TradFi pull us down anytime soon? Shout out to Olgar. Listen, if TradFi rips to the downside, this is gonna very likely cycle into crypto as well. But I'll be honest here, guys. Like, I just don't know. I don't know. I would just. At this point, right? Like, and it is a little different on money flow with the S&P, right? Just because it ebbs and flows a little bit slower than crypto. So this has just been in the green for quite some time. See that weekly green dot is printing, 6-day red dot looking to print. I don't know. This weekly green dot is nice, but the fact that you have this 6-day red dot, and this is very similar on Bitcoin, like looking to print there. I don't know. Like, maybe that green dot's a little bit of a fake out. But again, I like to have you guys ready for pullbacks. Like, I would be pretty inclined. Like, especially if this fib lines up on that value area high, which maybe it won't. No, never mind, it does. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, if the S&P decides to drop here, sure, that would bring Bitcoin down with it, which obviously we've already covered that scenario on Bitcoin. But, I mean, I would just be inclined to something like this maybe. This would be very, very big support, sitting between 610.41 and 601.88 on the SPY. This would be big support. You also have the PLC just underneath you as well, right? You get the breakout. This would be like the retest of your range highs, even if you have to retest the PLC for a potential higher low and higher high. Money flow is a little harder to gauge here because it's not like we just got a fresh crossover into the green, which would look really good. But again, on the S&P, like, this money flow has been in the green for 847 days. It just oscillates a lot slower. Maybe on crypto, you would have seen something like this where, like, your weekly money flow crosses into the red and now you're getting a fresh crossover. So it's kind of hard to call that. But yeah, I mean, I would say you still have pretty good support here to retest the range highs between 610.41 and 601.88. So, if that pulls back from here, it's going to transfer over into crypto. This thing nukes, right? Probably going to transfer over into crypto, but I would still be looking for support up there until we wind up losing that PLC. Once you start losing the PLC, which, by the way, sits at 598.21, could start to look a little bit more bearish. Let's see. Shout out to Pepe, said XRP pumped more than it dumped. I don't really know what that means contextually. Or dumped more than it pumped, I think he said. Yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, XRP is probably, XRP holding up pretty good here. But yeah, I mean, we got the initial bounce here off our local golden pocket. Not this golden pocket, but there was a local golden pocket here. 24% pump for a 8% dump. I mean, that's nothing to worry about right there. And again, when we look at XRP, right, what do we always talk about here, guys? Back when we were looking for the push up, before we got the bounce off this golden pocket, we were okay with a push down to the value area high, similar to the S&P, right? Let's just hide these local levels real quick. We had the local levels for the bounce, obviously, holding the anchored VWAP. That's nice. But initially, right, when we got the rejection here, we saw those bearish divergences looking for a pullback. We were okay with a pushback into the value area high, golden pocket daily MPOC all the way down here between 260 and 250. We didn't even have to come down there. So if we do come back down, it's like, all right, well, we're just back at that big level we were looking to retest anyway. It'd be really nice if the higher low can come in here. But if not, you still got those key levels down below, right? And again, looking at your high time frame money flow, 5 days back in the green or still in the green, 6 days still in the green, weekly still in the green here and coming up, right? That weekly red dot could cool you off. But again, we still have those big levels of support. Biggest level on support on XRP, in my opinion, 250 to 260. Retest the golden pocket. That would be a full golden pocket retracement of this entire move. Confluent with the value area high. Confluent with the daily MPOC. That's what I would look at. Yeah, shout out to Brett Adams said XRP is a waste of capital compared to other assets unless you're just long-term multi-year holding. Yeah, I would pretty much. Yeah, it's I know my XRP bags. I've held my XRP, and for what it's worth here, guys, I hold XRP. I am not someone who is just going to hold XRP because I am in the XRP army, but I'm just going to hold it because I'm in the XRP army, right? But I actually stopped allocating capital to XRP. I don't remember exactly when, but I've been holding XRP for a while. I stopped allocating capital to it. Not that it wouldn't have paid out, even if you were buying here, between 40 and 50 cents, right? You're still up at the current price, 782%. But it's I'm glad that I stopped allocating more money to XRP and diversified into other assets. But yeah, I mean, it's all about, right? Like, I think most people, like a lot of people have been starting to pay attention to crypto after December when we got the big pops up. And like, this has been brutal for them to endure because, most of those people, I know personal people in my life that were like, I'm going to sell all my alts and go into XRP because it's pumping. And I tried so hard to tell them not to buy the top, right? I'm like, just wait for a pullback, man. A lot of people, like, I could just tell by the people in my personal life that were buying XRP up here, like, they're just still at break even. So like, it's so brutal, but right, this has more to do with, and I'm not going to act like, XRP hasn't underperformed because of the lawsuit and everything in 2021, obviously. But this is more, if you're feeling pain on XRP because you bought in here, this is much more of an example of just like entering at a bad time rather than like, my XRP is up massively, but I've been holding for years. So I would actually agree with that. If you're holding multi-year, you're probably good. But if you just bought in the past year or so, you're probably about sick of this thing. But shout out to XRP. So yeah, watch that key level, 250 to 260. Shout out to the moon. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He said, when 100x short TRX? What's good, bro? Hope all is well. If you can take a look at it for me, shout out to the moon. Yeah, I will try to take a look at TRX. And friendly reminder, guys, do not feel the need to super chat your altcoins. Does not guarantee we will look at them, but I will try my best. Sure, we see the chats a little bit easier, but you do not have to super chat your altcoins. I will take just as many from the free chat and our list here, which I'm going to knock out right now. Let's take a look at Tao. Shout out to Nabil. If you're out there watching this on a replay or live, shout out to you, bro. I'm sorry I have not looked at this for you. He's been asking forever. But let's take a look here. Let me just get my bearings. All right, so 786 is front ran here, but you did bounce off the value area low. I can get this. Actually, I'm going to keep these levels on the chart because these are still key resistance. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll just simplify all this. Let me go ahead and hide the macro profile. And now we can kind of look at this as a full profile here. And I will mark this out on Tau. Local value area sitting right here. Value area low 3450, POC 430.56. Value area high 450.45, right? So you can see laws of the volume profile are goaded. Deviate below the low, get back into your range, flip the value area low. Flip the value area low, anchored VWAP to support. Next likely place for price to go is the POC. Flip the POC, back to the high, deviate above, back in, lose the POC, back to the low, deviation, back in. Can you make it up to that POC? That would be the next target to the upside within the profile. But let's take a look here at low time frame money flow. 30-minute in the red. You're testing that anchored VWAP as we speak. Let's take a look at the 8-hour red dot. No. So you don't have the 8-hour, you don't have the market cipher B116 bearish setup on the 30-minute and the 8-hour like you do on Bitcoin. So based off the laws of the volume profile, as long as you're able to stay above this value area low, the doorway to the POC remains open. Flip the POC, push into the value area high. The one thing I would be careful with here is regardless of what this looks like based off the volume profile, if Bitcoin's market cipher B116 bearish setup pushes this down, this is very likely going to follow, right? So this is why I always say, like, if you're learning how to trade out there, it is much better, in my opinion, to learn and start trading Bitcoin alone and then move to altcoins, right? Because at the end of the day, I went through this when I started learning how to trade, or not learning how to trade, when I first started trading crypto. I would be like, oh, let me just I'll just trade the altcoins, right? Not knowing that I should be keeping an eye on Bitcoin like a hawk, right? I would be looking at bullish setups on altcoins, go to take my long position, Bitcoin dumps, and then all my bullish setups on the altcoins would not play out, right? So you always want to make sure, heck, if you want to trade the altcoins, do it, but just make sure you're keeping a close eye on Bitcoin. I think it's just easier when you're learning to just stick to the asset that everything follows, right? Just makes more sense. So if you see like a bullish setup on an altcoin, but Bitcoin looks bearish, you might not want to trust that, bullish setup as much as you would if it was in line with what Bitcoin was. If you have a bullish setup on Bitcoin and you have a bullish setup on an altcoin, it's a little better. You just got to make sure, you can see the most bullish setup on an altcoin. If Bitcoin dumps, you're probably just going to get dragged down with it. So that would be the volume profile. 343.50 at the value area low. POC 430.56. Value area high 450.45. 450.45. And then I will go ahead and put this into a folder. And we'll just do this as, I'll just say current range. And then higher time frame, guys, I will just say, we'll pull up that macro volume profile. Like long term, these are the April lows. Let's pull the fib from the low to the high. Already got the golden pocket retest, so potential higher low in there. You still have the bottom of the golden pocket untapped, but I would say like your next biggest level, if you don't hold up that bottom of the golden pocket for the second time, I would say POC 786 is your biggest level. It's nice that you have the value area low underneath you as well, right? Because if you're looking at this from a high time frame perspective, let's pull up like say the 2-day money flow in the green, right? Let's check the 3-day, right? 3-day money flow trying to trend to the upside here. If you can get this money flow to curve back up and cross into the green, even if you get the pullback, it's like you're hoping for higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. And if you lose that 786, you do have backup support here at the value area low. So I would really say the line in the sand here is like losing the value area low at 211.81. If you lose that, you're already below the 786, which invalidates the idea of the higher low, and it would be much more likely to crack structure to the downside. So we'll see if we get the bigger pullback. I would say the biggest levels to watch here on the higher time frames are going to be, you already have the local levels. I would say you have your bottom of the golden pocket. Top's already tapped, right? So you have this level here, 279.30. You lose that. I'm looking down here. You really don't want to lose that 786 though, right? So if it gets scary here, you could still see something like that happen to hold up the higher low. Start losing that, you might be able to break structure to the downside. So that's what I would look at on Tau. Shout out to Nabil if you're in here. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Base Bailey, said that sneaky doorway to lower prices, dang it. Jet said, if BTC pumps, alts might pump. BTC dumps, alts crash. Pretty much. Obviously, there are outliers, and like once in a while you'll see something deviate, but unless it's got like its own little narrative going or something like that, typically you will see the altcoins follow Bitcoin. Let's see. Rob says, Pepe, seriously? You think people should take advice about investing from someone that solely trades garbage? Yo, shout out to Rob, the crypto snob. Yeah, friendly reminder, guys, not financial advice. I'm just some crazy guy that screams up here on camera about the charts, and we may be right way more than we're wrong, but it's definitely never financial advice, right? And at the end of the day, guys, you could have the best setup, right? If you're not using good risk management, you're going to get wrecked. Ask yourself this. If you're learning how to trade, right? If you're getting wrecked, you're doing something wrong. And it's not what you think. It's not that you're trading the wrong, well, it's not that you're doing the wrong TA or you have bad setups, right? Maybe that is the case. But if you're getting wrecked, you're just trading wrong, right? You are not using risk management. You should never be getting quote unquote wrecked. If you are getting wrecked, that is on the only person responsible for that is the trader, right? If you're not managing your risk, you're going to get wrecked, right? If you manage your risk, you might lose a trade. You might lose a couple of trades. You might lose 3-4 trades in a row, but you're not getting totally wrecked, right? Because you're limiting that risk. That is what separates a successful trader from someone who just gets wrecked, right? Successful traders, people who actually make money, are limiting their risk, right? They're not just like getting in 50-50 hoping for a moonshot to get rich overnight, right? That is the difference. So, you could have the best setup in the world, but at the end of the day, you have to understand, like, for example, if I pull up Bitcoin here, let's just pretend, right? This obviously did play out. I'll pull up the setup, right? This was a nice setup, right? Even from the low that we had in the premium Discord. Very nice setup. Maybe I'll pull it up so you guys can actually see it. Let me pull up my face cam real quick. Right, so I'll just pull this up just to show you kind of like step by step why you should never just be taking random financial advice from somebody who's not a financial advisor, which I am not. But obviously, I would consider myself an expert at the charts here. But when we take a look at this is the long setup we looked at, right? This was a nice setup. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how nice this setup is. It is not guaranteed to play out. And if you were chasing learning how to trade to try to figure out how you can know 100% whether price is going to go up or down, you're never going to get there. You're chasing something that does not exist. The whole point of trading and the whole way to make it in trading is to manage the risk and manage your trades in a responsible way. Not just come down here, 100x long, no stop loss, risk your whole account for a move up. And obviously, the setup played out literally perfectly. We came into the golden pocket 786. We took the entry. We hit final TP plus some. But at the end of the day, this did not have to work out, right? It could be a beautiful setup, but maybe we get bearish news or something and it gets totally stepped on. This would not wreck me. This would be a very small loss, right? But if you're not using risk management, this could be the best setup ever. And if you get stopped out and you're using good risk management, it's like, okay, well, hey, it was a good setup. Not all setups play out, but I took a small loss. I'm still in the game. But if you just go in here, you 100x long, and you're trying to get rich overnight, I promise you, trust me, the reason I say this is because I tried this. You're never going to make money, right? Because you might get lucky once in a while, but you're just going to give all that money back over time because you're never going to use risk management. And if you make a big trade, you're just going to lose it all in the next one. The whole point is to take smaller losses than you have wins, right? If you're not taking profit along the way, moving your stop losses, it's going to be very hard to make money, right? So just because this was a good setup and it played out perfectly, I'm not just 100x longing with my entire account with no stop loss, right? I am still understanding that the market can do whatever it wants, and if it wants to stop me out here, I'm just accepting the small loss, and I take that loss and I move on to the next trade, right? So if you're out there getting wrecked, just understand that is a trader's mistake, right? Not an analysis mistake or a setup mistake. Could you be looking at garbage setups? Maybe, but I would say it's much easier to get good at TA and find good setups than it is to actually responsibly manage your trades. So there you go. Anyway, let's continue on. Shout out to Baby Genius said, if you're getting wrecked constantly, try just for fun doing the exact opposite. You'll learn a lot. Shout out to Baby Genius. I would agree with that. And that would be more of that would be more of like a TA mistake than a risk management mistake. But I would actually agree with that. If you're getting stopped out right before your trades go in the direction that you initially thought, you're probably getting stop hunted, right? And there's ways to avoid that, and we teach it here. So, let's see. Shout out to $5 for BTC. Said fresh haircut, looking good, bro. Shout out to $5 for BTC. I appreciate you, bro. I actually just shaved the beard, so this is actually homemade beard here. So I appreciate that, bro. Shout out to Todd Porter. Says he wants to see Casper. Yeah, we could take a look at Casper, and then I'll run through the rest of the list. Let's take a look at Casper. We'll take a look at TRX, and then we'll run through the rest of the list here. Now, I think I have Casper on here. Where are we at? Where's she at? There she is. Have not looked at this in a while. Do I not have it? Oh, got to come over here. All right, let's take a look here. And funny enough, I have not looked at this in forever. And you're just still respecting the same levels, right? This is wild. All right, so let's see. 2-day money flow, bing-bonging around here. I mean, listen, we were in the red for quite some time. And just to be clear, guys, my overall sentiment on pretty much all altcoins are going to remain the same. Spent 184 days in the red. We're coming back into the red here. We got into the green, back into the red. This could be a fake out into the red, right? It's like, it's not impossible for it to just come into a massive red wave, but I would say probability-wise, not only did you spend 184 days in the red, even here, like we barely spent any time in the green. So, it might be time to spend some time in the red. So I would be careful of this being a fake out into the red, but very hard to predict those types of things. 3-day money flow, still kind of trying to trend to the upside here. You're a little bit further behind a lot of other things like, say, Ethereum, which is not unlikely, guys. Ethereum's the first mover, right? So it's like you would expect to see Ethereum kind of leading in all of these indicators and price action if you're watching your other altcoins if you want your other altcoins to move, right? So, it's lagging a little bit behind here. I can't guarantee Casper is going to be like the highest performer of the cycle or anything like that. But, I would just say as long as nothing crazy breaks here, you continue looking, have some time here to let this develop and curve back up towards the 0 line. It's not tanking to the downside. 4-day, guys, I said this before. This 4-day is random on almost every chart. It's like the 3-day money flow doesn't look bad. The 5-day money flow, actually, this is looks a little worse on Casper. 6-day money flow trying to trend up, weekly money flow trying to come up, still pretty far from that zero line. But if we look at like anything else, like I just pull up Cardano, for example, right? It's like 3-day money flow looking to cross over into the green. 2-day money flow is crossing over into the green. 5-day money flow is crossing over into the green. I know you can barely see that. Your 4-day is just like randomly down here. Like, I don't know why this is just like standing alone. We said on Friday's live stream, it's like it's like when you're playing baseball and you got that one kid in the outfield, it's just like picking dandelions. It's like, I don't know what the 4-day money flow is doing here and why it looks so different than everything else. And I honestly don't even know what that would mean. I just don't know why this is happening. It's very, very interesting. But I would say Casper looks a little bit different here. Not a lot of action on this thing, to be honest. Like weekly money flow, I don't know. Like you could say it's trending to the upside, but you're still really far from that zero line. 3-day money flow still trending up, slightly kind of coming out. So I'd like to see this curve up a little bit more aggressively, personally. But what we can do here is we can update this profile because we have not looked at this in forever. So I'm going to update this profile to a larger range, right? So you have your POC. Come on. Value area high, POC. So here's your bigger range. Let me pull this fib from the low to the high. Yikes, losing your 786 there a little bit. Let me just see. Yeah, man, this is pretty key, to be honest. Like, you don't really want to lose this value area low. Because if you lose that value area low, I mean, you're already losing your 786. You're, like, barely retesting it here. If you can't get back above that 786 and start getting moves up, if you start to lose that value area low, I mean, the doorway is open here. Pulled from the low to the high. I mean, you can't get back above that 786. You lose this value area low. I'd be looking to crack structure down here. Sitting at, 754, 0.0075, 0.00754. Got to get above that POC, 786, right? So, yeah, key support here, like at this point, value area low at 1 cent. If you can't get back above that POC and you lose this range, I would potentially be looking to crack structure to the downside here. But again, at the end of the day, it's like it could just be chopping around, right? Like nothing has to, not everything has to move perfectly exactly the way you want it to. So I don't want to say it's like, oh my God, this looks like super bearish to go to zero or anything, but I would say like you really got to get above that POC at 0.01150. If you can't flip that, lose the value very low, I'd be looking down here. So that's what I look at on Casper. And then obviously your doorway to higher prices to the upside is very clearly 3 cents. Get above that value area low. That's where you're looking for the cook back up to your value area high and potentially beyond. But you got some work to do here. Money flow is still pretty deep in the red. So you might have some more bing-bonging around to do here until that money flow cooks back to the upside. But yeah, just Casper just getting no love down here. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Todd Porter says, Bing Bong, you're the King Kong. Shout out to Todd. I appreciate you, bro. Let's go. I don't What noise do gorillas make when they slam on their chest like that? Actually, you know what it is? It's like a popping sound. They go like, you guys ever see that? You would think they would like roar, but they just like, it makes like a popping sound. It's really weird. But anyway, this is not Zoology 101. This is a crypto stream. Let's see. Shout out to Sharma says, take a look at Bitcoin dominance. We actually did just take a look at Bitcoin dominance. If you scrub back just a little bit, I break it all down. Start at the beginning of the stream. You'll get all the sauce, all the key levels, all the dominance updates, all the ETH updates. You'll see everything explained in full. So definitely check that out. Shout out to JPO said, that's the sound in my bedroom. Oh, good Lord. Compound, XLM. Let's see. Oh, CandleMafia's John Cena dropping the gorillas in the chat. Can't wait to get my candle hat and have people ask me what sports team it is. Shout out to Cryptic Crabman. Yeah, I love that. Yo, what team is that? This is the team that stares at charts and makes money. Let's go. All right, so let's continue on. That's Casper. Let's go ahead and jump on into Ape. Good Lord. When was the last time we looked at this? Wow. Is that not weird that I just brought up gorillas for a totally separate reason? Maybe you guys were talking about gorillas because ApeCoin was coming up, but that is kind of weird, right? Anyway, law of attraction. Just make sure I don't have a chart here. All right, so we'll look at the Binance Tether chart. Man, this thing has just been done nothing but go down. Crazy, man. So many people. And I'm not saying that I would have faded this idea, but like, man, like everyone's so bullish on ApeCoin. It just NFTs just dang. Will NFTs make a comeback? I don't know. I would say in an explosive alt season type situation, you could probably get anybody to buy anything. That's where you get the $1 million pictures of monkeys. 6-day green dot looking to print, weekly green dot looking to print. I mean, listen, I would say, just from a binary perspective, weekly money flow and VWAP coming up here. That's pretty nice. If you can get that green dot with a weekly money flow crossover, could give you a pop to the upside. 6-day money flow just crossed over with your VWAP coming up. Again, if Bitcoin dumps, this is likely going to have to take a little more time to develop. It'll probably follow Bitcoin. But just from a binary perspective, money flow coming up on the 6-day and the weekly. 5-day, just totally disagreeing there. Very interesting. 4-day, totally disagreeing. 3-day seems to be in line with the 6-day and the weekly. Like, I just don't know. 2-day crosses into the green. Nice. 3-day crossing into the green shortly after the 2-day. That is to be expected. And then 4-day, just totally different. 5-day, totally different. 6-day and weekly. It's like, yeah, super weird. I don't know why that's happening here. But I would say, weekly money flow crossover from a high time frame perspective. You do have weekly bull divs here as well, right? Lower lows on your price action, higher lows on your momentum waves. This does not mean you're guaranteed to continue the pump up, but if you want a continuation up, I would say, like, there's nothing better that you would want at the low than a weekly bull div with money flow coming up. So there is that. So yeah, I would say, looks somewhat similar to all the other alts with money flow coming up on the higher time frames. Let's check the daily here real quick. Kind of just chopped up on money flow. So let me give you some key levels here. Kind of hard because we're just consistently trending to the downside. I will pull your major Fibonacci retracement, which is still pretty far away here. Like, the only kind of sound volume profile I can see here is right here, right? It's like the only clean profile. Maybe here. Yeah, it's just like little area balance, little area balance. See, could potentially look at something like this. This is not traditionally how I pull my profiles from the high like that, but I actually like both of these. Both indicating similar things, but I like this one. So I'll give you these as local levels. You have your value area high, POC, 786. Fib confluence here at the value area high, so that would be a big level to watch, big target. And I would say cracking above this value area low would be a better sign than any that you could get the continuation up, right? If you can crack above this value area low at 72 cents, flip it to support, look for the continuation into your POC. Flip the POC, look to come into your golden pocket 786. Once you flip that value area low, next likely place for price to go is the POC. Flip the POC, next likely place for price to go is the value area high. So it also conveniently be your golden pocket 786 retest. Once you crack that 786, you could look to crack this high and come play with this high. So I wouldn't say this is like significant breakout to all-time highs or anything, but that would be a significant Fibonacci retracement to watch. And you have your 72 cent value area low, POC $1.15, value area high at $1.75. That's what I would look for. And just be careful, because if Bitcoin gets the move down, you're probably not going to get accepted into here just yet. Line in the sand for me would, as always, be this 786. You have your front run of the golden pocket 2 times. So these are still valid down here, as they are naked levels. We love the naked levels. We much prefer, we like levels, but we do prefer naked levels. It's like anything in life. But I would say the 786 at 44 cents. If you're not getting the continuation up there, lose this. I'm looking to take that low. So there you go. Still room to come down and hold a higher low. Once you lose that 786, higher low is invalidated. I'd be looking to take that structure or break the structure to the downside at 34 cents. So there you go. There is ApeCoin. Wow, been a while since we've looked at that one. Let's see. Shout out to K Diggity. Said a Richardson 112 sticker on my Frankie Candles McLaren. Let's go. Shout out to K Diggity. We should get a deal with McLaren. Man, I wish McLaren's. I wish there weren't so many nightmare stories about McLarens. 720S is the coolest car ever. The coolest car ever. but apparently they're just garbage. They just break all the time. Dang. I do love McLarens, though. 720Ss are fire, man. Even 570Ss. Those are pretty, I mean, I don't want to say cheap, but like for supercar territory, you get a 570S dang near the price of an expensive Mercedes. But also breaks all the time. Let's see. Bobblehead wearing a Frankie Candles cap. Shout out to Elvis Diaz. We do have Frankie Candles Funko Pops. Check that out. Frankie Candles Funko Pop. Pretty fuego. We don't sell them, obviously, but Mrs. Candles got this for my birthday. I was like, oh, look, an action figure of me. A Funko Pop of me. Pretty cool. But anyway, let's continue on. Kind of like a bobblehead. And it is wearing a Frankie Candles hat. Look at the detail. It's actually wearing, can you see that? Actually wearing a Frankie Candles hat with the logo on there. And a Frankie Candles t-shirt. Pretty dope. But anyway, let's continue on here. That's ApeCoin. Let's go ahead and jump on into... Yo, shout out to Nirvana, says Red Bull greater than McLaren. Let's go. Shout out to F1. Yo, Tony D said he ripped the inhaler for sure, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy. I actually don't even have the inhaler. I don't even have an inhaler in here. It's actually fact. I'm low-key kind of surprised. I even checked my pockets. Very last cycle. Yeah, shout out to Max B. Said ApeCoins like NFTs. Very last cycle. Yeah. All right, let's continue on. Shout out to Act 4. Says Super Chat Tars AI. Oh, we got Tars in the. Oh, yeah, we can take a look at Tars. Let's do it. And what else do we have? TRX. We'll take a look at TRX as well. Let's take a look at Tars real quick, though. Not Celestia. I always do that. All right, so let's take a look at TARS. Still holding. I mean, I'm not going to lie here, guys. We hit that 786. This weekly MPOC is key. I'll just give you this clear line in the sand. 52 cents. I'm sorry, 0.052, right? 5 cents. We lose that weekly MPOC. Yikes. I just don't really see much underneath that. Oh, no, we're frozen. There we go. So we are holding the key level. You can barely see it there. It is marked off as key. We bounced off the 786, which is beautiful. Didn't even have to touch the weekly MPOC. But if we have to come back down here, guys, you really want to hold this weekly MPOC. If you lose this, not only are you losing the 786, which, by the way, is the full 786 from the low to the high, you're looking for the higher low to come in here. If you lose this, there's just not a lot underneath you. You have the monthly MPOC at 2 cents. But, I mean, it's not going to be a fun ride down there. So you're really praying. Like, this is, I can't stress this enough. This is a huge level on the chart for TARS. Key level of resistance above still remains anchored VWAP, golden pocket, value area low, 786. And your PLC you can incorporate in there as well, sitting between 0.09123 and 0.11123. That's kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, if you do continue up, you got to be aware that you do have this key resistance. I would say your doorway to higher prices, and by higher prices, I mean 16 cents, is the point of control here at about 11 cents. Break 11 cents, I'd be looking to 16 cents. If you put in just be aware it is key resistance. But the biggest thing here is you do not want to lose this, right? Like, pull up from a visible range profile perspective. I mean, you do have volume down there. There's just like, there's no MPOCs, there's no daily levels, there's no monthly levels. Actually, you do have a daily level here. That would be worth paying attention to. So you do have a daily at about 0.03854. And you have another high volume node at about 4 cents. It's just like the last significant NPOC before you come down here to 3 cents. So it's definitely key to hold. It might not be an instant drop to 2 cents or 3 cents, but it's just not a, I would say you lose this. Definitely a fast drop down. I'll mark these out, right? Because this is, you can't really ignore this. This is a high volume node. So if you do have to lose that key level, and it's really the context, right? If you want to put in your low, your higher low, and then a higher high, you're hoping to hold that 786. If not, I would at least be looking for a fast drop down to the high volume node at 0.044. And then you do have a bit of volume down here. So that's what I would look at. Definitely still key from a context standpoint. You want to hold that as your higher low before breaking out. Lose that, kind of invalidates that idea, but you do have support down below. From a market cipher perspective, 2-day money flow trending up as you would expect, right? Ethereum got the early signal. Solana got the early signal, right? This could just be kind of lagging behind just slightly, but it is headed in the right direction technically. But if on the way down, guys, like that's the biggest level to watch. You don't want to lose that 5-cent level. So there you go. And if you do, there's the next levels I'll be looking at. But yeah, you just need that money flow to kind of develop a little bit more. A 3-day money flow. Hard to say if this is the low, but pretty deep in the red. 4-day, pretty deep in the red. 5-day. I mean, you have the green dots, but like money flow, not really cooking in the right direction here just yet. So yeah, you still have a lot of work to do here. This is just, I mean, this thing has also been getting slept on. But that's what I'd be looking at for TARS. We could probably check in on this. We'll check on this. Something big happens, I'll put an alert here if we start testing that key level again. But I would say right now, biggest level, 5 cents. Let's see. All right, let's take. We have one more TRX. Let's take a look at TRX real quick. All right, yeah, this thing is, just sketchily scoot. This is what scooting looks like, guys. When I say something scooting to the upside, this is the definition of scoot, 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 scoot. Right? This thing is the definition of scooting. Let me just get my bearings here. All right, so nice. You're above this 786. That invalidates the lower high. Broke above the MPOC. That's nice. Weekly MPOC flipped to support. This is nice. I'm not going to take this off the chart, but I will label it tapped. Whoops. I will label it tapped weekly MPOC. And then we do have the full golden pocket from the high to the low, and that's what we're approaching, right? This is your major level between the golden pocket 786 weekly MPOC. This would be a full golden pocket 786 retracement. I would say this is a little bit more of a saucy level because of the confluence on the weekly MPOC. But this is definitely the next level to look at. And it's really hard here, right? Because like I can't pull a range. I have no price action there. It's like a little bit weird. But I would say for sure your next major levels of resistance are sitting, we are approaching them quickly, between 35 and basically 40 cents, right? 39.84. Taking a look at the higher time frames, 2-day money flow thick in the green, 2-day green dot printing, 3-day money flow thick in the green, 4-day money flow kind of flat. We'll see if this thing's picking dandelions. Yeah, thick in the green on the 5-day, 6-day scooting to the upside, weekly scooting to the upside. You have the weekly red dot. So yeah, I would just be aware. You are approaching resistance. But at this point, right, I'll give you some key levels to the downside. I would watch this from the impulse to the high, Fibonacci retracement, sitting between 29 and 27 cents. So maybe you make it all the way up to that golden pocket. If you get some kind of a big retracement to the downside, watch this tapped weekly MPOC. You could break that and flip it to support. If you lose that, that is sitting at 32 cents. If you lose that, I'd be looking down here at that golden pocket 786. And this wouldn't be the line in the sand to like go take this low here because it's not the full Fibonacci retracement. If you wanted that level, that sits at 23 cents, right? If you went for some kind of massive correction, losing that 786 would indicate a crack at that low, in my opinion. But I would watch this as local support. I'll even pull up a little bit of an honorable mention here for MPOCs. Weekly MPOC. Okay, cool. This is nice. You have your weekly MPOC. You got another weekly MPOC directly into the zone. So you got 2 MPOCs down here. So I would say between 29 and 27 cents is that big zone of support. Golden pocket retracement could be an area to put in a higher low before a higher high. And you have the MPOC confluence, which is really nice to see. And then more locally, let me see if I have any monthly MPOCs. Yeah, you got a monthly on this too. Monthly plus weekly. Whoops. Boom. And you also have a monthly MPOC right here. So I'll give you the hyper-local levels as well. I mean, not that this is like a local level. This is a macro level, monthly MPOC. So get that off the chart now. You know what I'll do? I'll take that weekly off and just watch this monthly. So, yeah, I honestly watch this monthly MPOC at 31 cents. If you lose that, if you're unable to flip that to support, lose this, I'm looking down to the golden pocket, 786, with the monthly and 2 weekly MPOCs between 27 and 29 cents. So if you can't do something, this would be so nice if you can get this confluence. Come on, baby. 2 biggest zones to look at. Monthly MPOC Fibonacci retracement 31 to 30 cents. Lose that. Looking down to the golden pocket 786 lower between 29 and 27 cents. These are two big zones to look at. So that's what I look at on TRX. Higher time frame. I don't personally. Yeah, you have like a little bit of an exaggerated bearish divergence here confirmed, but that's kind of already like would have played out. 5-day. Yeah, weekly red dot printing. 10-hour money flow crossover into the red could. So yeah, if you keep this weekly red dot printing, I'd watch that 10-hour money flow crossover into the red. It might be able to start the bigger trend down. But yeah, 35.5 cents at the golden pocket is the start of your major level of resistance. So this is what I'd be looking at on Tron. This is not, I don't know, this really isn't tradable for me. This is not something I'd be interested in trading. Just because like it's not, it's like the structure is super wonky. It's just it would be very difficult to trade. But if I had to pull up key levels, this is what I would look at. I can't pull any kind of volume profiles or anything like that. So if I were to pull a volume profile, actually, I would probably have to pull it something like this. And then unless I had major... that's actually nice. Yeah, this would be the only volume profile I could pull, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. There's no guarantee that we're going to get down there. Watch these key levels. Resistance at 35.5 cents, leading you up to about 40 cents. Just watch out for the rejections. But I would never trade this. This is just, ugh. Unless you just call it like a nice long and you want to hold it for the like immediate just launches to the upside. This is very hard to like scalp. There's just like no valid structure. Let's see. Zora. Yeah, we'll take a look at Zora. Shout out to Jesse. Said we already take a look at Zora. We did not. Let's take a look at it because it is on the list. And we also have Arrow. I will take a look at Arrow as well. Just get as much price history as we can. Coinbase in the lead. All right, so that definitely wins here. All right, so I'm not going to cover all these super local levels. I'll give you a local analysis on Zora. All right, so definitely watch out for the daily bearish divergence. Money flow cooking in the right direction, though, so I wouldn't necessarily look at that to be like zero. It would be more, especially if that 2-day money flow is coming up. No 2-day money flow. I can't even make a call off these higher time frames. But money flow headed in the right direction. Just be aware here. You do have your daily bearish divergence printing. Is this a key extension level? I would assume it probably is. There it is, right into the top of the extension levels. Rejected off the first zone, rejected off the second zone, into that last level. You do have the higher highs on your price action, the lower highs on your momentum waves, and VWAP kind of getting supported here on the zero line. You need that to curve over and give you the red dot to actually say that that bearish divergence is confirmed or even printing. But that would be, if money flow stays coming into the green, I would expect that bearish divergence to maybe just give you a little bit of an ebb or flow to the downside, which could also, I'm going to go ahead and do something that might be super, super. I'm just going to get all those other levels off the chart. Right, so you did come into that fib extension, bearish divergences. If you do get a pullback here, I would definitely be watching local extension level. Retracement level, not extension level. Wish that was a little prettier. Just do some magic here real quick. Yeah, so I would definitely watch this golden pocket 786 sitting between 8 cents at the golden pocket, 0.88, 0.088 to 0.085, 786 sitting at 0.072. This would be the Fibonacci retracement pulled from the higher low to the higher high, right? The lowest we went before breaking structure to the upside. That's why I have it pulled there, right, to the high. So if we do continue down here off the daily bearish divergence, that would be the main zone to look at. Not the only zone, but that would be the main zone because you also have this volume profile in here that could give you a little bit of a sticking point as well. So that's what I watch out locally for Zora. Did you get any like low time frame bear divs up here either? Yeah, you even got some like 80-minute bear divs. Some 30-minute bear divs, money flow coming out on the 30-minute, 8-hour red dot looking to print. So I think you could potentially cool off here from that Fibonacci extension level. Just watch this. Again, about 9 cents pretty much, all the way down to about 7 cents. That's what I would look at. If we break down below that, we'll find lower levels at that point. So there you go. That is what I'd be looking at on Zora. Let's see. Shout out to Theodore. Said FC. Look forward every day. Are you saying you look forward to the live streams, or are you saying to me to always look forward? Because we always looking forward, baby. How do you think we predict the future? Let's see. All right, so we took a look at TRX. Took a look at Zora. Let's take a look at Arrow, last on our list here. All right, let's take a look. So obviously, we covered this on Friday, so I won't stick to it very long. But I think this is important if you're learning how to trade. 786 Fibonacci retracement from the low to the high. Golden Pocket 786 is where you're hoping for the higher low. Cover this every day. That's where you're hoping the higher low comes in at. When we push into that 786, lower lows on price action, higher lows on your momentum waves, giving you that bullish divergence with your money flow coming up. This is a very beautiful bottom signal, especially pushing into something like a 786. And you cook to the upside. Low, high, higher low, higher high, break the structure to the upside, leading you into your next target, which is the daily plus weekly MPOC, which we actually got a rejection off of already. So this is no longer resistance. I'll keep this on the chart because it's tapped. But I would say as of right now, so yeah, I would probably say you have your 786 value area low down here. You already lost that golden pocket, so I'll take that off the chart. But I would say, I mean, this is your key level. If you lose that value area low, you might be able to continue down. But if you could stay within this profile, let's take a look at the 8-hour. Red dot already confirmed. Take a look at the daily. VWAP coming down. Yeah, long term, this looks similar to a lot of other stuff. Money flow. Whoops. Whoa. Everybody calm down here. Yeah, 5-day back in the green. 6-day in the green. Excuse me, weekly in the green as well. A little overbought there, but I will watch that daily red dot for a potential continuation to the downside. But let's check that 90-minute money flow. Yeah, 90-minute money flow coming out with the daily red dot. Could give you a little continuation down, but at the end of the day, aggressively, I would say your biggest key level of support sits between the 786 and the value area low, $1.07 to $1.04. Right, I'm going to take this off the chart, right, because this has already been tapped. That already did what we wanted it to do. Let's pull from the low to the high. So, yeah, I would say if you could stay in here, right, let's assume that you're not going to break down. POC is next. Flip that POC. You might be able to cook up to the value area low or value area high, sitting at $1.54. But, you know, if that daily red dot prints with that 90-minute money flow crossover and you do lose this level, I'd be looking down towards these bigger fib levels, sitting between 94 and 91 cents. And then your 786 sits right down here at about 84 cents. And then hopefully if you move down here, that anchored VWAP can work up into that Fibonacci zone. This is kind of like one big zone. So if we push down, anchored VWAP might cook to the upside and give you a little confluence on one of those levels, which would make it a little bit more saucy. So that's what I'd be looking at here on Aerodrome. Just watch that daily red dot for a potential continuation down. That would not be that scary. Just like when we got the last rejection, this was not scary. We look for higher lows and higher highs. The break structure to the upside, we got it. Everyone gets scared here. Bear market, no alt season, nothing's ever going up ever again, right? But you have to understand the longer term context here. Higher highs, cracking structure to the upside was the higher probability. What happens? Everybody gets scared. Boom, higher high. So that's what I'd be looking at on Arrow. High time frame, everything looks the same pretty much as like Ethereum 4-day money or 3-day money flow, continuing in the right direction. Again, this indicates the overall trend, not the ebbs and flows, right? So as long as you can bounce here, hold those higher lows, this can bing bong around until it crosses into the green. If this was if this was a big green wave about to cross into the red, I would 100% be looking for massive corrections there. But that is just not the case that we're in. 4-day, kind of random. 5-day back in the green, 6-day back in the green, weekly in the green, not bad. No monthly information to look at. But that's what I look at. Those are the key levels. Number one, local, $1.07 to $1.04. Underneath that, you have the Fibonacci retracement zone sitting between 94 and 84 cents. And watch for that anchored VWAP to come in confluence. That would be very nice to see. That anchored VWAP, if you want it on your chart, is pulled from the April lows. And if you want to learn how to use the Anchored VWAP, check the beginner series. We have the Anchored VWAP tutorial for you guys, not only showing you how to use the Anchored VWAP, set up the settings, but also how to use it to identify major trend changes as well as sniper entries to get into your more local trades. So with all that being said, guys, that's all the time we got for today's live stream. We took a look at Tau, Ape, Zora, Arrow, TRX, Ethereum, Solana, XRP. We looked at everything, guys. But we will be here tomorrow, same place, same time, right here, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys all for hanging out till the end of the stream. I appreciate every single one of you guys from the bottom of my heart. Smash that like button on your way out. Shout out to All Set, Chart Ninja, Frankie TA, the heck out of this chart. Shout out to All Set. Let's go. Shout out to Max B. Shout out to Big Huggies. I do have my diapers on. Shout out to Bitfrog. Shout out to Senza. DK Insight. He said Frankie hopping in the DeLorean meeting Doc. Let's go. Shout out to DK Insight. Trade made. AR Perez. Couldn't catch a short at the top last night because I was too scared. Shout out to AR Perez. That's okay. You're going to have another opportunity. But thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. Brian Hardy dropping the inhaler emoji. That's crazy. I'm not going to use my inhaler when I leave, guys. So let's check out the hair. Hat hair? Check out that hat hair, guys. Come on. Come on. It's actually not that bad. My hat hair has been low-key kind of fire lately. I'm not going to lie. But with all that being said, guys, that's all the time I got for tonight's live stream. No fake out. I actually have to hop on a call real quick. So smash that like button on your way out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time. Right here, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love each and every single one of you. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy.